During the early hours of the 17th of May 1941, Britain was at war and the German Luftwaffe bombed countless towns, cities throughout the UK, most notably Coventry and London. Nuneaton was affected as well, and during the early hours of the 17th of May 1941 many bombs dropped and 108 people were killed. I have with me now Dorothy and John Veasey, who can well remember that day when the bombs dropped. So John, where were you living in May 1941?
We were living in Edward Street, where Milby Court is built now, and because we had a lot of air raid warnings previously, my father had built bunk beds in the air raid shelter, so we used to go down there in the evening instead of going to bed, because the sirens were going, air raid warnings, and we were having to get up every night. So on May the 17th we were already in the shelter when the raid started.
How many was in the shelter?
There were 5 of us at that time.
5.
My father was out and about putting incendiary out at the time.
Oh, it was a fire warden?
No, it was home guard actually.
Oh, home guard, yeah.
He was doing it off his own back.
Right.
And the co-op, which stood on the corner of Henry Street,
yes,
that had been hit by incendiaries, and that was all ablaze. And my father was outside the chapel, which was opposite the co-op, and he'd put an incendiary out there. He was coming back to our shelter, and he heard the bomb coming, and he ran up the entry, got into just at the entrance of our shelter, because by that time we'd got an Anderson shelter, put his head in, his helmet shot off and hit my sister.
Really?
Yeah.
So the force of the bomb exploding forced your dad's helmet off.
Yeah.
That's what. But the sound of the air raid warden, the siren going, I bet that was quite frightening. To hear that, you know, you think, oh, where's it going to drop, and what's going to happen?
Yeah, it always was, but we were getting a bit used to it, because although we hadn't had big raids in Nuneaton, we had lots of air raid warnings, yeah, because you used to get a warning when enemy aircraft came into your zone, not just when they were going to drop bombs, because you didn't know.
No. Do you mind me asking how old you were? You know,
10.
10. You were 10.
I was 10.
And obviously, you know, what happened with school? Did you still attend school?
Our school, Fitton Street, was bombed also. So for 10 months, after we were bombed out, our house was destroyed. After we were bombed out, we lived with an aunt of mine in College Street for 12 months, and during that period we had part-time schooling at Queen's Road.
Right.
1 week we would go mornings, and the next week we would go afternoon.
And Dorothy, you lived on a farm.
I did.
you lived on a farm, and located around about where Sterling Metals used to stand.
Yeah.
Further
up than that.
A little bit further up Marston
Near the
Lane.
quarry.
Near the quarry. Oh, I know where you are, yeah. So the town was being bombed, and many buildings were destroyed. But in the country, were you also affected?
Oh yes, my dad was out.
And what was it?
Doing whatever dads did.
Yeah.
I mean, I was...
He was looking after the animals, wasn't he, because
Well, he
they were
was,
scared.
yes.
Oh, well, yes. Yeah, he has.
I think he let some of them out. Well,
what? Cattle?
Cattle, yeah,
cattle
yeah.
farm. So, and did any bombs drop near the farm?
Oh yes, there was that big one at the
top of the field.
top field, and there was one in the next field, but yes, the one in the next field.
I mean, it's hard to imagine anybody today thinking what it was actually like to see a bomb drop out of the sky, hit the ground, and either buildings blow up or create a big hole in the ground, you know.
This was a big hole, wasn't it?
It was,
We played in it for a long time.
Oh, that was your playground?
Yes, we played in it.
Well, that was never filled in, you see. But
No, it
they,
wasn't.
Yeah,
It
I
is
mean,
now.
Nuneaton, I think, was only bombed a few times, and I think that was the mistake of the enemy aircraft mistaking it for Coventry. But when we got through I mean,
Worth it.
people survived then.
Yeah.
They've got no idea at all of,
No, they
of
didn't.
what you had to do, and food was rationed, and
Oh,
you know, clothing, everything, and people did survive. And you can look back and you think, well, we don't know how we got through it,
Yeah.
and it's
But
true.
You managed very well, really.
You managed very well.
there was a
Well, we-
completely different atmosphere during the war to what there is today.
Yeah, camaraderie.
Yes.
Yes.
But
Everyone
when
helped
you was in
everyone.
the shelter, you could be there for hours.
Oh, yes.
So what did you do?
Well, as I say, we used to go straight to bed down there to bed and sleep the night.
Right, okay.
But during the raid, of course, we were kept awake. Another thing is that the co-op was on fire, and there was a shelter behind there, a brick shelter, and
Oh,
there were a lot of
obviously.
people in there because it was a public shelter. And my father went and brought them round to our shelter. So by the end of the evening, we started with 5, and there were 24 people in the shelter.
In one Anderson shelter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The shelter
But it
was
was-
designed for 7 people.
Yeah, right, yeah. So everything in there, because obviously you didn't know how long the raid was going to last. You didn't know how long you were going to be in there. So
Yeah.
did you take any little supplies in
Oh,
there?
yes, because as I say, we were kitted out with bunks, we used to take drink and things like that.
Yeah. And you can remember hearing Coton Church had been destroyed.
Oh, yes, yeah.
And obviously it was rebuilt with the help
Yeah,
of German prisoners of war.
yeah.
And there's still shrapnel damage to some of the gravestones now,
Yeah.
if anyone goes and has a look.
And the other thing is, of course, that when we came out of the shelter and saw what was there or what wasn't there, we were climbing over the rubble to get to the road, what was the road, and the firemen were spraying their hoses all over what was left of our houses to stop the fire from spreading further.
Yeah.
And
Was
they
your
soaked me.
Oh right, okay. Was your house bombed or was it?
It was completely destroyed.
Was it?
It was so badly damaged they had to pull it down.
Okay. And obviously all your belongings went,
Yes, they
everything.
lost everything.
Everything. Did something similar happen to you, Dorothy, or
No.
the buildings was unscathed?
No, the buildings weren't unscathed, but we didn't lose things.
Right.
It was the roof and things like that, you know.
Windows and that sort of
Windows,
Oh, yeah,
oh,
they
windows
blew
went
out,
in,
yeah.
yeah.
And I suppose the thing there, and everybody, children as as well as adults, they listened to the radio a lot,
Yeah.
and you'd listen to what Churchill was coming over the radio and saying, and the
that was inspiring, I think.
Yeah, I think he was very inspirational on that, and you know, that generation held him in high regard. Hence, he had a state funeral.
Yeah,
Commonwealth
yeah.
had a state funeral. So the country repaid Churchill in the end by giving him this state funeral. But the memories of those who lived through that period, it'll always be with you.
It
I mean,
will, yeah.
you know, you're both senior members of Nuneaton's
And I was
population,
only- I
and
was only
it's
8,
still there.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I'm sure if you close your eyes, you can actually see
Oh,
that picture.
You can.
You know,
remember.
But you were a bit older than me. I was.
But, yeah, there are things that fade, but there are certain
Things that,
like the fireman
yes,
clothing.
yeah.
Also, Dorothy's uncle was killed there, as I remember. He was a fireman.
Oh right, yes, yes. I do believe I've got a list somewhere of those who lost their lives. But thank you both for coming in and talking to us.
You're welcome.
And it sounds awful, but it's been a pleasure to hear you
Well, it is
recall
a pleasure. Yeah.
what you remember.
Yeah.
Thank you.